Greetings everyone. In the last video, I had opened up a couple of packages of Pokemon cards and through a shuffle and random selection came up with this, which is Meloetta. And being that I've never seen this creature before, I decided that I was going to just do like a quick little doodle. Then I went to this as just to change the pose a little bit and kind of add a little bit more of like, my style of looking at these things. Now, I did watch a video of like some gameplay. I don't know if there's like cartoon versions of this character, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this one just a little bit more serious and maybe try to figure out a little bit of what I think some of the anatomy or something like that might be of this character. Not so much like a real world thing, but more along the lines of, well, how I might interpret it that way. So, although I, pardon me, opened up the ink, we're going to go right to pencil and maybe kind of flesh out concepts of what this creature might look like. So, we'll start off with a rough idea of the head. Now, I'm not going to live with what's going on here perfectly. Now, I don't know if you can see that. Let's zoom in just a little bit. Okay. Now, I don't know, it's not necessary to make a little skull of sorts, but like I said, I'm just going to try to figure out a couple of things. No nose for the creature. I'm going to come back out just a little bit here. Try to figure out how this creature might move. If there is some version of bone structure or not, doesn't really matter. Maybe we'll raise that leg up on this side. I don't know, we'll see. Now, show you what I'm doing over here. You know what? Let's have the right leg cross over, actually. Something like that. Sometimes that's kind of called like a modesty pose. It doesn't matter. So something like that. Now, the next thing, since we got sort of like the basics of what we think the creature might look like, frame-wise or skeleton-wise, not perfectly so, let's flesh this out a little bit. Pretty big eyes. Kind of alien-like. Kind of, yes. Now, pardon me, I wonder if it suits us just trying to think where this should sit. The leg perhaps coming out of that part of the dress. Something like that, let's say. Kind of a waistband like belt thing here. The hands are closed in. Now, I don't know what I think of that, but the trick will be see how it goes. Now, we're going to have the hair kind of move back, which, as we noted the last time through, kind of moves, and it's shaped like a music staff in sheet music. So let's say something like that, a flowing sheet. Now, I got a rough idea of what I'd like out of that. And we'll ink this, but more the way that I might do it. So a little something like that. It's always interesting to do this kind of stuff. Do your interpretation of something, especially if you're not really familiar with it. Now, I don't know if this gem or whatever's going on is supposed to be kind of treated like another eye of some sort. I don't know. But in this, it's the same color as the character's eye. So maybe, I don't know. Now, it almost seems like the character wears like a hood, which is why I've kind of created that look back there. Slight little armpit. So we don't have to really deal with major trapezoidal musculature. a little something like that. Let's finish off this other hand. Now, we're going to make this a little more obvious of a belt-like thing. Let this leg come out here. Now, as a bonus, though, let's see here. We're going to assume that the leg-like structure, although I probably could have let it get a little baggier there, from toe to knee, it might hide the ankle with the way I'm doing this. So we're just going to let that kind of make its way to a point like that. And same with this one. Let it get to a point-like structure. So that's kind of interesting. Next, we want to figure out some of this, what looks like a bacon wave. We'll clean it up just a little bit too. I don't know if you could see any of that, but we'll try to keep an eye on where that goes within the camera. Since you didn't get to see how I did the feet. We'll close up this bottom part here. So, next, we are going to add the musical notes in a moment. Which oddly enough look to be whole notes anyway. Let's put one here. So yes, that's what I did with the legs. Now the next thing that I'm going to do before I add some color to it is I'm going to define the outline just a little bit. Kind of like what you'd see with a coloring book. Sometimes the outer edge is a little bit darker than the rest. Gives you a little bit more freedom to scribble color. At least that's the way I like to think of it that way. So, I don't know the games. I don't even play Pokemon Go. And these cards that I got are really the first ones that I own. So, I'm pretty brand new, I guess you could say. As I would have said in the last video, I did see the movie with Pikachu. That's the Pikachu detective thing that had Ryan Reynolds as the voice of Pikachu. But yeah, no, I'm not that familiar with them. Okay, so just going to add a little bit here to the eyes, because the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a moment to erase some of the pencil before I add in some of the color. Okay. Actually, let's get those ears on the rabbit earphones. The bunny ears. We'll darken that up a little bit too, leading to the mouthpiece. Okay. So, get the eraser going. We'll start down here where this is hopefully a little bit more dry. Although this ink does dry reasonably fast. We shall see. Sweep it off. Okay, now let's go to here. We're going to do some color now. And actually go up one, two, there. Okay. Do a little bit here, like that, down in this corner as well. And then we're going to take care of the entire face. But we're going to do the perimeter just a little bit first. So I like to make sure that the eyes are defined. That's the way I like to do things anyway. Something like that. Do a little bit in the legs here. Very interesting. Now the next thing I'm going to play around with is this hair, the music staff. These colors are kind of complementary. Of course, I'll smooth this out with brush and water after. As is what I like to do. Now, I do know people that enjoy Pokemon Go still. People are still doing it. It wasn't just a pandemic thing for some folks. So I think that's what I got for that one. This band here around the waist of Meloetta. Okay. Next, we're going to do a series of grays. Something like that. We'll go to the next version of gray. Something like this. Now we go for the charcoal, kind of, well, black to some degree. Okay. Now we get out the blue. Fill in some of these notes. I'm going just a little bit darker, a little higher up. And what version? Let's go with this. I'm not sure why I went with teeth. I don't know if this character has teeth. Probably not. But since I started off with a skull, that's what you get. Well, that's kind of where I was going with this. Let's see how this blends a little bit here too. So I'm going to start with some of the lighter colors and make my way around to the darker stuff after. I'm trying not to get too much of the dark lines to bleed out. Now we'll do a little bit of this. A good friend of mine is celebrating a birthday today, as well as his good friend, the love of his life, are celebrating a birthday today, which is pretty cool. Happy birthday, Frank and Chantel. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you guys every so often, frequently. So, happy birthday. Let's see here. Now, we're going to take care of this. I might go back in after. And sharpen up some of these lines. The bunny ears. Okay. I think, let's try a little bit of shade. Draw out some of that there. Uh-huh. Okay. Brush a little bit. That might be kind of the run of it. Just do a little bit inside the mouth here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this dry a little bit. And then I'll take a moment or two to sharpen up some of those lines. We'll see if a few of them can be done, although, yeah, I don't think that's dry enough for all of it. Yeah, maybe not. Well, I think that's probably it for now. I think there's just a little bit too much moisture on the page to add some of the finer details. But I'm not going to drag this out too much. I mean, we're at 47 minutes for this. That is interesting, though. Yeah, the way that's sort of spread out a little bit there. Yeah, it's a little too wet still. All right, folks. I think that is it for now. And what I'll end up doing is get a look at the thumbnail, and I will probably just spend a moment or two just to sharpen some of that up, but that really is it for Meloetta. And oh, well, hopefully you got to doodle along with me, and hopefully we'll see you again at some point in the near future. Anyway, it's time for me to put down this pen. All right. Have a great day, everyone. See you again soon.